Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'm going to give my honest review of Kafra for PvE in Ragnarok Mobile Eternal Love. The footage in this video is post-nerf that happened in week 1 in CBT. In this clip I'm attempting to solo clear floor 3 of Legend Museum. First I hide inside the warehouse after taking some damage. That allows me to get in some free hits since I'm invincible. Then I pop out and do overload support. This skill allows me to do damage even if I've died. This lasts for 15 seconds and I will perish after, but during that time I'm able to do a bunch of damage in the meantime. Now in the end I could bring 3 bosses to about 50%, which was pretty fun to try. I have seen some insane super whale Kafras who would probably be able to solo this without any problems. Now I'll briefly show the gear I was using to try this out. I don't have the greatest gear on this account and my memory equipment is all physical users, so it's not optimized for magic either. Now first, Kafra is strong, so strong in fact that it had gotten nerfed. From Kremisi's post he mentioned how heartbeat support got nerfed since skill cooldown was changed from -20% to -15%, that stops things from being spammable. Then professional match, which can increase elemental damage, got nerfed from 30% to 20%. This was one of the party buffs and self buffs that I was most excited about, but possibly this was too strong. Next, Taste a Little Bit effect got adjusted from 8 to 6 buff stacks. Unfortunately, there were some great buffs there, so we got a little less this time. Now it is unfortunate since I wanted Kafra to be extremely strong, even without an optimized magic account. But there were certainly other CBT accounts out there that are super whale and was doing absurd damage. For my 121% deposit account without optimal magic gear, it didn't feel as broken. Now I felt that if you had good magic gear, then you can do well and had the potential to clear hard stuff, but if you weren't optimized for it, then the class couldn't carry the hardest instances for you. I feel like for paid collab classes, it's definitely much stronger. Now for Adventure Handbook, I'm using 121% deposit with 3537 magic attack, definitely nowhere near the whale accounts with 200% plus deposit. Next I'll show some footage from Legend Isles Floor 3. For single target, she's amazing. She finishes the first phase quickly. Now when there are mobs, you have to use overload support to deal with it, otherwise it's very inefficient. And luckily it lasts for 15 seconds, so you have plenty of time to wipe things out. Then I take care of the red orbs, and then I target the heart. The boss also goes down quickly. Her damage is definitely very high. Now there were some people asking how she compared to the event-only collab class Liu Mao Xing. I personally think he is the best magic DPS class in the game. Now I decided to test both out in PSR, where the difficulty is much harder. First, it's great she can convert to any element as a magic user. I think this alone makes her one of the best non-collab magic classes due to her flexibility. Now against a single boss she does quite well. She has a single target skill but can also do AoE every 5 seconds. This can be sped up quicker with overload support for 15 seconds, but there is an unfortunate 45-second cooldown that cannot be reduced. Now I personally still prefer Liu Mao Xing's consistent AoE since I can use him against mobs in White Star Airship and Oracle Dungeon, whereas I would never use Kafra there. She can hit hard and I've seen some whale videos where each hit is insanely high, so even though her rate of attack isn't as high as Liu Mao Xing, she can make up for it with very high damage. Now this is the gear I'd use for that clip. Now I'm going to use the same gear with Liu Mao Xing except a different weapon. Now I personally found with Liu Mao Xing his damage modifiers are much easier to obtain, so I could go through PSR even though this build isn't anywhere near optimal. I think for Liu Mao Xing, because he was a club class, he's easier to build and better for people who aren't fully optimized. So if you have a Liu Mao Xing already, you might be disappointed if you switch over and expect the same level of damage. And honestly, I've seen people speedrun with Liu Mao Xing and he's very efficient. So when this does get released, if you already own Liu Mao Xing, I'd be a bit cautious investing in her until you get more PvE speedruns to understand how powerful she really is. Next, here's my Liu Mao Xing gear that I use. Again, only the weapon had changed. Now similar to Liu Mao Xing, even if your damage isn't great, Kafra is still a great support class. I personally like having her as a slave since Kafra helps boost the party's damage during weeklies. She can definitely boost a teammate to be very powerful. For the next two slides, they are from Kremisi. I'll put a link to his full skill breakdown in his spreadsheet. So first is Profession Match. I like that it's able to give 20% more elemental damage. I often sacrifice a lot of damage by using Other Shore Patrol, which is the elemental increasing ancient equipment armor, and I use this for the elemental damage increase. But I could possibly drop that and use this instead, since this will give me a lot of elemental damage as well. And also with the Advanced Ruins, you can also add up to an additional 20% physical penetration or magic penetration percentage, which is great. And with the VIP premium benefits, it can also boost this further. Being able to help your teammate achieve critical stats is definitely very useful since it gives them more freedom to tweak around with their gear to do more damage. And next is Taste a Little Bit, which is also a great way to buff people. Again, unfortunate that they nerfed this too. Now it was great that Kremisi could data mine this so we can see what these foods actually do. It's kinda crazy to see these buffs as well as the percentages, and also nice that there is a chance for anti-fatal in there. So even if you aren't able to do damage, you're still gonna be useful in a party, which I find very useful. And this is also where support and DPS being grouped together is the feature of Ragnarok Mobile Eternal Love, and does put Saint at risk. With res from inherited skills, you can also behave even more like a Saint. However, it's hard to replace Saint's Dark Convertibility, Erasure, and Faith Prey. Faith Prey is still better than Warehouse, since you can still attack and move freely around, while being invulnerable. Overall, I'm very excited about Kafra. She has great potential, and if you're looking for a good non-collab magic class for PvE, she's a wonderful choice. I think currently as she is right now, I think she will be A tier. I personally don't think she's busted enough to be considered S tier, since a lot of those S tier classes are really busted even without optimal gear. So are you going to invest in her, and what do you think of this class? Let me know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I recommend, and if you want more sneak peeks, check out this playlist over here.